Welcome back to another challenge in our 10-day communication challenge. Scott Stoltz, founder of Create Your Great Coaching. Loving being alongside you on this journey as you raise your game, become a better and better communicator so that at work you have more influence, more impact, you're getting that promotion, you're getting your voice heard, you're making more money, and you're fulfilling all your dreams when it comes to your career. Being a great communicator is a big step, if not the most important step, to doing that. And this 10-day challenge is designed to help you become a great communicator. Okay, today's challenge. This is going to be another interesting twist. And there is segments or aspects to this one that you probably have done before, or at the very least have heard if you've taken like a communications, a public speaking class. But it's important, and I'm going to give a little bit of a different twist to this one too. And that is being able to watch and listen as you communicate. And I want to share the reason why I'm having to do this too. But it's really important that you do a little bit of watching and listening how you communicate. So there's one or two ways you can do this. All right, I'm going to throw two options at you, and very easy in today's world. All right, we obviously can do videos. You can record yourself. That's one thing you can do. Simply, if you're comfortable doing it alone, you can have a friend help and videotape you. That'd be awesome with the phone, of course. But if you'd be even more comfortable doing it alone, then do it alone. Prop your phone up, set your phone up on a stand, a tripod, whatever you got to do, and record yourself speaking. And I'm going to get to where I want you to go with this in a minute, or do a little bit in front of a mirror too. You can do the old-fashioned way and do it in front of a mirror. But here's what's really important about this one, okay? Here's where I want you to focus on when you watch yourself, all right? Is when you're watching, not when you're speaking, all right? When you're recording it or doing it in front of the mirror. But pay attention to this question. Am I communicating, speaking, acting, verbally and non-verbally like I normally do as I talk? Okay? I'll say that again. Am I speaking? And challenge yourself on this. And it's not an easy question to answer because we're not always looking at ourselves as we communicate. But it's an important question to ask and think about and work on. All right? I'll say it one more time. When you're watching, it probably is best, to be honest, to record yourself so that you can watch it a few times. Ask yourself, as you watch yourself talk for anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, and if you want to go as long as a couple minutes, great. In fact, a little bit longer the better. But ask yourself, is that how I am, authentically, genuinely, truly, every day when I'm communicating, when I'm just talking with somebody, when I'm talking to a friend or a colleague one-on-one, when I'm speaking with a group at work or in a meeting? All right, and I tell you to ask that question because here's the reason why. Many people, right? And let's face it, I've done it many times. I did it many times when I was in my corporate roles. We role play, all right? We get into a meeting or we get up in front of a room full of people and we're not our true selves. We're putting on a show. We're acting it out. We're trying to be super polished. We're rehearsed, and to be clear, first of all, definitely having, like if you're doing a talk, if you're presenting something or doing a talk, it's super important to have an outline in your mind about where you're going. I don't condone or recommend any memorizing, but that's another conversation that I go deep to in my program, how to become a great communicator at work. But you got to have an outline, at the very least, to guide your talk or your presentation. But a lot of people, when they're giving a talk, when they're doing a presentation, when they're just speaking up in a meeting, they all of a sudden become this different person. They become a different person and they're trying to be a little bit more formal and a little bit more polished. And okay, the intention's good there. And you do want to be relatively cleaned up. I get it. You don't want to be slumped over like you're at the bar with your buddies or out with the girls shopping or whatever. I'm being a little facetious there. But, and just act like you would on a Saturday night with your boys or a Sunday afternoon with your friends or whatever. You want to present yourself in a professional way, but people take it too far. People go too far with the trying to be something they're not. So it's really important to be a great communicator that we be our true selves. I've talked a little bit about this too already in this challenge, about what's your story, what's your honest self, are you bringing it out every day? And when you talk in meetings, when you're presenting, when you're speaking up, when you're asking a question, when you're answering a question, when you're leading a meeting, at your core, you still want to be you. So it's really insightful. It's really helpful, and I go into this in much greater detail in my program. It's really helpful as you watch yourself on video to think. You may not know the answer right away because you're not always watching yourself in meetings at work, right? And you know, some people have the benefit of doing a lot of public speaking, and they get to see recordings of themselves talk. And I've done some. I worked with a communications coach. I watched myself. I had to watch myself, as painful as that was. And I had to get. This is where some of that comes from, right? So watch yourself and ask: is this who I really am? And you want to push yourself. The purpose behind this exercise, where you want to go, is to be as close to who you really are, while still being professional and appropriate and polished and cleaned up, you know, as you present things. You know, obviously there's, especially like the classic and obvious examples, if you're doing any kind of a presentation, like at a client site. If you have a role or a job where you're doing things like at a client site, I get it. I've done those. You know, you have to present and project a certain image. You know, you don't want to be too rambunctious up there, but I'll tell you what, if you're your true self, if you really are at your core consistently who you are day to day, the right people will gravitate to you, including clients and potential clients. People really appreciate authenticity. You know, we've talked a little bit about this. The BS doesn't fly in today's world. All right. So don't be fake. Don't be robotic. Don't memorize. Have an outline, but always be who you are. And so again, to recap the exercise, this challenge, preferably do either the mirror or record yourself, and then it can be 1 to 2 minutes, and watch yourself and be asking yourself that question of, is this who I really am? Is this how I really talk? Is this how I am when I talk with a friend or a couple colleagues in the hallway? When I'm just chatting with people, you know, in a low risk meeting, all right? Because people tend to put on their, you know, role playing, you know, when they're doing a big higher risk like presentation or running a big meeting, and they think they have to, you know, be something they're not, and all proper and prim, and it doesn't come across great. It doesn't. All right. Today's world, that used to work. That used to work. In today's world, you want to be who you really are on a regular basis. There's much more on this in my program, but I need to get you thinking about this. Be who you are. So watch yourself and ask, is that who I really am? And answer honestly. Write down, think, and I'd love to get some feedback. You know, how were you feeling during this exercise? It's going to be hard. It's going to be a little uncomfortable watching yourself, but really ask yourself that question and say, how does it feel watching? And do I really feel like that's the person that I live with every day? Okay? I'll see you in tomorrow's challenge.